Great. As we sort of change around the stage, I'm about to welcome our next speaker, who is Gursharan, who is the lead strategist at Scene Studios. She's going to be sharing some brand new research from the Creators Way. And that's going to, in her talk today, we're going to challenge how we think about creator partnerships and how it's time for brands to really rethink their approach, which is a great follow-on from the conversation we've just had. So welcome to the stage, Gursharan.
Good morning, everyone. It's going to work. Love that. My name is Gursharan, and I'm lead strategist at Scene Studios. So for those of you who aren't aware, we're an agency based all the way down in Shoreditch, which meant coming here was a very nice short walk. Here's a bit more about us. Scene Studios is a multidisciplinary design agency. We really are specializing in retail design and experience. So we really are about building environments with impact and delivering experiences that connect. We are just, I'm biased, but it's just the most incredible team of 40 plus individuals with specialisms from strategy, creative, production, and partnerships. But what does that all mean? It means we get to create stuff like this, and ultimately we want to make people feel like this. But why does that all matter? Insight is really at the core of what we do. Effective design and experiences comes from understanding people. So doing the really credible research in unpicking what actually drives behavior. But what I've been noticing, and I'm sure many of you guys have as well, is that the way we talk about creators or talent feels incredibly broken. We're treating these really quite complex cultural architects as simple billboard space. I think ultimately we're missing something quite fundamental, which is why I'm really excited to give you all a bit of a sneak peek at a report we'll be launching. We're still in the exploratory phase of this research, but what better place to debut it all with all of you guys on this stage in particular. So we decided to dig a bit deeper into the creator economy itself with the Creators Way. It's an ode to the very popular The Artist Way. Think of it as a strategic deep dive into what it means to create as individuals, as a collective, and the roles of which brands and agencies play within this, and ultimately the types of roles they should be serving. We went about this by speaking to the people directly involved, starting off with some pretty extensive desk research to understand current behavior and driving cultural trends, followed by some really incredible expert interviews with Jimmy Ong, who's a brand architect and cross-cultural strategist, and Manor Hussain, who is head of marketing over at Dialed In. And to top it off, we hosted 2 workshops with key voices across London. For us, we really understood that there are multiple different voices and protagonists within this space and exist within these relationships. So I think for us, it was really about making sure we had the many perspectives in the room to help tackle this topic. So these individuals existed in spaces. Some are creators themselves, some are regulars at brand community events, and some are going ahead and building their own communities. But what emerged wasn't about follower counts or engagement rates. It was about the fundamental infrastructure of how culture gets built, shared, and sustained in 2025. Now, on to our top findings so far. So, finding number 1. We're in a research drought. And when I say research drought, I don't mean we're not collecting data. I mean we're not doing the actual work of unpicking what's driving behavior, or rather simply not understanding people as complex or sometimes contradictory human beings. As one of our experts put it, we're drowning in faceless insights. So real cultural insight comes from talking to people, actually understanding their lives, the groups they occupy, and the values that they hold. As Manor puts it, there's not enough foresight awarded to really dig into the world that you're trying to enter. And brands, we get it, marketing budgets get smaller and smaller every year, but this is where you really rely on your agency relationships. Agencies have the opportunity to really lead with honest, objective, and accurate cultural understanding, not just demographic boxes, but actual human complexity. So when in doubt, marketers, put your phone down, go outside, and speak to a real person. Please touch some grass. Which brings us on to finding number 2. Creators come with their own ecosystem, so you're not hiring just one person, you are accessing their whole world. Think of it this way. The most successful creators aren't just making content, they're basically cultural architects, and that's why you want to work with them. They document, curate, organize, and facilitate connection within their communities. They're building cultural infrastructure that people actually want to be a part of. So when brands partner with a creator, they're not just getting access to their followers, though that's really nice. They're potentially entering a community of people who genuinely trust that creator's judgment, because that creator has consistently shown up for them and not just shown up to sell to them. So the brands that are really getting this right are flipping the script entirely. So as our expert Jimmy shares, brands are often getting this wrong, and the questions is often, how do creators fit within our brand calendar? How do they support what we want them to say? Which majority of the time can turn into a one-and-done project, instead of how do we partner with them to build long-term value, authentic reach, and real connection with their audiences? It's essentially the difference between being invited backstage rather than just gate crashing, which is why it's really important to remember you're entering their collective, it's their house, so please take off your shoes when you come in. When you partner a creator, you are entering their space. So the creator can open the door for you, but earning their trust of their audience, that is on you. They're not idiots, and not to throw in a bunch of other buzzwords that you're going to hear, like IRL experiences and community connection, but all of this stuff is just so important right now. People need something out of this, which is why they feel so strongly about it. One of our participants put it amazingly and said, most of the time, it's that brands need to actually just engage and listen with the communities they're trying to represent or recreate. And then they'll be more informed on how they can use that influence to help or amplify. Here's the thing. Brands need to be willing to genuinely be vulnerable when they enter these spaces. This ecosystem has its own values, language, and unspoken rules. Smart agencies are really about positioning brands in a way that adds value to this collective, not just nick what they can. The access that you gain is a privilege, and that privilege comes with responsibility. So remember, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, which means you should be listening twice as much as you're talking. Now, on to finding number 4. You cannot buy your way in, you have to earn your way in. This isn't about being authentic. I think that word has lost all of its meaning, although people really love to use it. It's about being present, consistent, and genuinely useful to the communities you want to be a part of. It's genuine actions over a sustained amount of time, not just a flash in the pan. It's all about legacy building. A participant actually shared more on this, saying, some of the community interest from brands just feels ingenuine. They're trying to tick a box or fill a quota, and it doesn't sit right with me. It needs to come from a good place rather than motivating to just making a brand bigger. So the brands that are really winning in this space understand they have to earn their right to participate. This means listening before speaking, learning community dynamics, and approaching partnerships with genuine parity. So ask yourself, are you building sustainable community infrastructure, or are you just putting on another activation? Because these communities can smell insincerity from a mile off, and they have very, very long memories. Which brings us really nicely onto finding number 5. So this is all about beyond transactional support. So fund the vision and not just the post. Real support for creators goes way beyond a single campaign. It's about providing space, resources, creative freedom, and longevity where possible. The most forward-thinking brands are bringing these key cultural voices in-house as advisors, collaborators, or simply their own colleagues. So both of the experts that we spoke to are people within the scenes across London, and they were scooped up by organizations who recognized their input and then valued their point of view. And these organizations need to continue to respect the point of view that they bring. I think something that came up quite a bit in this piece of work was that brands seek people that often match in terms of size and reach, instead of just thinking about the longevity that a creator can offer. What's really cool is that brands can grow with the creator over time, and I think, if anything, it makes for so much more of a meaningful relationship, especially for the audience. I think relevant brands are also funding passion projects, providing studio space, supporting community events that may not even directly promote their own products, but it absolutely strengthens the culture that they want to be a part of. One of our workshop participants put it brilliantly and said, start listening. Communities will tell you what you need. Throwing money at a situation is one thing, but maybe you could be supplying equipment or space or support. And I think this is where agencies really do shine. So architecting these deeper relationships rather than just a simple campaign partnership. It's about creating sustainable value for everyone involved, not just quick wins. Think of it as the difference of being a brand tourist or a cultural steward. A brand tourist wants their logo visible, a steward wants the art to flourish. But what does this all mean? For creators, I think it's really key to understand that you're building connections that people crave, and only really think about the brands that you want to partner that understand the depth of what you're trying to create. I think get ruthless about your partnership criteria and protect your community's trust like your life depends on it, because your career literally does. And then seek brands that want to invest in your vision, not just rent your audience. And I think for agencies, it's also really key to remember that you are not just simply middlemen. You are cultural translators, helping brands understand communities they desperately want to be a part of, but oftentimes know absolutely nothing about. So with that in mind, it's about doing the actual legwork of understanding these communities before pitching partnerships. Proper cultural research, not just Instagram stalking and calling it insights. And think a bit bigger than the individual campaign. Like, you're facilitating relationships that should last longer than a simple TikTok trend cycle. And then finally, for brands, creative partnerships are not marketing spend, they are investments in brand building. So treat them accordingly. Measure partnership success through other things, such as community health indicators like retention and genuine engagement, rather than just reach and impressions. Or better yet, do one better. Ask someone what they want and how better you can serve them. And I think the one key thing for brands is that this cultural trust isn't built overnight. There are no shortcuts to this game and no shortcuts to actual genuine community acceptance. And this isn't a fixed relationship that once you've got it right, you're right forever. It's ongoing and it's fluid. And if you've liked anything that I've said in the last 10 minutes or so, and you think to yourself, yep, I want to hear more, if you give this QR code on screen a scan, you'll be first to read the report when it lands in full into your inbox. It was honestly such a joy to pull this together and co-write this along with Amelia Patrick, who's also here, so go say hi. And it's such an impressive thing to have people be so honest with you about what they think of this space. And one more final thing from me. You're going to hear the word community a lot over the next few days, and hopefully most people will use that word correctly. But I think for me, at the core of it is to remember that community begins at the point of inconvenience. It's every single time you give your mates a lift to the airport. It's every single time you take your neighbor's bins out, even though it annoys you. It's these genuine moments of inconvenience over a sustained period of time is what builds community. And what we've learned is that some brands try to inconvenience themselves, but most brands just don't really know what they're doing. And I think, if anything, more brands should be inconveniencing themselves if they want to be a part of these communities. That's all from me. Thank you so much. Hope it was a nice little taste of the report. But thank you so much for your time.
We're actually a little bit ahead of time, so I just don't know if anyone...
Any questions?
I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but throw out some questions to the audience. Anyone has any? Everyone's just being very thoughtful.
It's very warm, I get it.
Everyone's brain cells have evaporated.
It's all good, nice and short and sweet.
That was really
Thank
fantastic.
you, guys.
Thank you so much. I love what you said at the end as well. That was so great. Thank you.